My guests tonight come from the beautiful valley of Kashmir. They represent two generations of one of India's leading political families. Father and son, they are the descendants of the renowned Lion of Kashmir, Sheikh Abdullah. It's my pleasure to have a rendezvous with Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah and his son, Omar Abdullah. Dr. Farooq Abdullah, it's such a pleasure to have you over here. Thank you so much for coming.
It's lovely coming here and meeting you.
You're a real doctor of medicine. It's not an honorary degree, right?
No, I am a doctor of medicine.
How did you opt for medicine?
Well, my father wanted to become a doctor, and he felt that all his children should become doctors.
So it wasn't your personal choice, was it?
In those days, there was no question of choice, personal choices. Those days, parents decided what you had to be. It is now that we have come into an age where children decide their future.
Tell me, what effect did it have on your childhood and your growing years to have Sheikh Abdullah as your father?
Well, I think as a child I was very happy when he was in jail because we were never afraid of mother. And so I could do everything that I couldn't do when my father was out. So as a child I used to love seeing father in the jail because I was free. It's only when he was back that my controls would be there. And my mother would always say, "Well, let your father come, I'll tell him you did this thing and that thing." And before father would come home, I'd apologize to mother and say, "Please, please, maaf kar do, don't say anything to him."
You had two bogeymen then, because he was also a bogeyman, your father, but Hitler as well.
Well, Hitler was there. You see, my mother used to always frighten us with Hitler's voice on the radio. Those days, Hitler's voice was to boom on the radio. Mm. And I think at times, you know, we used to feel the thing vibrate with his sounds. And we used to speak like that, you know. And but my father, I was more afraid of my father than Hitler. Hitler was too far away.
In 1964, why did you decide to go to England and settle down there?
I went for studies to that place, for further studies.
And you were working in a hospital in Norfolk, is that right?
Yes, I was.
A young bachelor?
Yes.
Dating lots of nurses and girls?
An awful bachelor.
And that's when you met a trainee nurse called Molly Pritchard.
Yes, I did.
Tell me about her.
Well, she was one girl, I must tell you, who had all the characteristics I saw in a woman who would be mother of my future children. She never drank, she never smoked, she never liked the parties, and was a very homely girl. Mm-hmm. I dated a hell of a lot of girls in that when I was in England. And I think she was the one who impressed me most.
She refused to date you initially?
Oh, she refused. She said, "This fellow is a I would not use that word."
I'm sure she didn't use that word.
No, she never used that word. But I think she felt that this fellow is dangerous and he cannot be trusted. And I was working at that time in Southend-on-Sea. And I rang her from there and I said, "I want to marry you." She said, "Look, are you drunk?" I said, "No, you know I don't drink." She said, "No, speak to me tomorrow morning and then I will give the answer." So I spoke to her in the morning and said, "Well, my question is the same." She said, "Yes, I accept."
But what did her family think of the proposal?
Well, I had never seen her father before, so when I went I was really frightened. And I have a habit of eating food with my hands, as all Kashmiris have. And she told me, "Look, when you come home, don't eat with your hands." So I thought, my God knows what the father will ask me. And so I went and he told me, "Look, you're a Muslim?" I said, "Yes, I'm a Muslim." In these days, he had read books on Islam and some information he had gained. And he thought that we could marry 4 women and merely say talaq, 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 and the woman will be divorced. So he asked me, "Is this so?" So So I told him, no, you cannot marry 4 women, as they say, because there are certain conditions that are laid down. And so he said, oh, well, then it is not this easy that you will just tomorrow
leave my
daughter and say goodbye. I said, no, it will not happen.
And it hasn't.
And, it hasn't happened.
So in September 1968, you got married.
Yes, I did.
Settled down in England, physician, family
Yes.
man.
Yes.
You obviously did not visualize a future for yourself in the Indian subcontinent, because you became a British citizen.
Yes. No, the point here was, at that time, when you're a doctor and you're working, all the certificates you have to sign for passports and things, you have to be a British citizen to sign those passport things. So I had to take that up so that I could work in the National Health Service. But I always felt that one day I'll have to go back. I used to keep on telling my wife that one day I'll have to go back. And we must prepare for that. And that time did come.
You returned in 1974.
Yes, for a holiday. And my father was at that time negotiating with Mrs. Gandhi the terms of return and all the rest of it. And at that stage, I saw that my father was now getting old and he needed assistance. He needed people who could hear and bring things to him without any, things added to it. And I felt I didn't want my father to be alone. So I came back and told my wife that we must pack our bags.
And is that when you decided to join politics?
Yes, I always had back of the mind that one day I have to jump into this. But because my citizenship had not been revoked, I was still British citizen, and those papers had not been completed, so I couldn't take part in 77 election.
So from 1980, Farooq, when you got elected, till now, you've had dramatic ups and downs in your political career. Your political graph reads like a roller coaster in that sense.
Yes.
How do you look back at these last 20 years?
Well, I'm happy, and I remember that song, I Did It My Way. I think that sums it all up. I went up, I went down. I went up, and I went down.
Did you at times feel overwhelmed by events that took place?
I think some events were overwhelming, some events were painful. When your friends stabbed you, those were the most painful moments. Painful moments were when mistrust was created between Mrs. Gandhi and me, and stories were floated which had no truth in it. Those were painful.
In your life, there's been a history of conspiracies and betrayals. In your case, your own brother-in-law was one of your greatest opponents.
My brother, my sister, they were used by the powers in Delhi.
But your brother-in-law toppled your government.
Yes, with the help of my sister and my brother, both.
So, what did it do to your family?
Well, it broke the family up. For years, I didn't speak to my sister. For years, I had nothing to do with my brother.
Mrs. Khalida.
Khalida and Tariq. I didn't know them. It took away all my relations. I have no relations. I have kept away. I have now developed relations with the people rather than the relations that I have with blood relations. It has been one of the most traumatic experiences I have gone in. That in politics, how low we can fall.
So your family life?
Well, family life in the sense, once you are in politics, my father we couldn't see. And I used to always say, no, I will see my children. I'll see them grow and I'll give them more love than I got from my father. But I have been as bad as my father.
So what do you know about politics today that you didn't know when you were younger?
I think I have become far more careful in many things. Though in my speech I'm still not careful. I still do say things that come out from my heart. I just do not hold them back.
You're right, because you've never been viewed as a conventional, rigid politician in that sense. No. You've never been a hypocrite.
I've never been a politician. That's a tragedy with me. I've been more a human being than a politician. Politicians knock off friends' lives. I don't do that.
But even in your general behavior, you've never really behaved like a chief minister, because in the sense you prefer to travel by motorcycle.
Yes, once.
Only
for
once?
which many times, but once I paid a very heavy price.
I saw your photograph.
Yes, you saw that photograph. It was taken by a friend who said that he will use it for himself.
Tell me how it all happened.
I went to Gulmarg. So I just got onto this motorcycle that I have, and I just drove and inspected schools on the way. They were themselves surprised the Chief Minister is here. And then I got into Gulmarg. My uncle has a hotel there called Highland Park. So I drove into Highland Park, and there was Shabana was there.
Shabana Azmi.
Yes, and innocently, she was there, I think, shooting a film. And innocently, she said, "Oh, I've never seen Chief Minister ride a motorbike." I said, "No, I do." And she said, "How about giving me a ride to the club?" Which is hardly 2 minutes drive, I think. I said, "I don't mind. Please sit down." So I put her on the back of the motorbike. And as I was going to leave the Highland Park area, there was this Mr. Puri. He was there. And he had a camera, and he said, "Can I take this for my own sake?" I said, "Fine. And give me a copy of it," not realizing that it'll find its place in the paper. And when it appeared in the magazine, it was blown up by my enemies, right, left, and center. And they told me, "Chief Ministers don't do this thing." I said, "I don't care what other Chief Ministers are. I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. And I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not one of them." But I paid a bitter price.
You did. You actually acquired an image of a playboy.
Exactly.
Casanova.
Not only playboy, they called me a disco dancer, and they called me all sorts of things. Because they feel that Chief Ministers must just stay in the office, at home, meeting people, and have no life of their own. And if they have any life, that should be in closed doors, with no cameras there, with no people there, and just that. That is not Farooq Abdullah. I'll do exactly the thing on top of the carpet rather than under the carpet.
Your name has been linked with a lot of glamorous women.
What lucky I am, I tell you. I would like it to be linked with many more till I live. It's not linked with your name, but maybe it'll soon get linked with that too.
But you know, there was a lot of speculation also that you had remarried at one time.
Yes, there was speculation. My friend died. He has a very beautiful wife. They linked me with her. I had to answer in the assembly that, "Look, I'm not married, and that I have a wife." Then I was linked with the actress Rekha. I had nothing to do with Rekha. I was linked with so many of these people, and I had nothing to do with them.
Really?
Half the times I used to say, "My God, I would love to meet them." But
what did your wife do about this? What did your wife do about...
I think when the very first thing came out, I'd gone to England for a week. And I came back, and I went to my mother's room. And there I found my mother crying. I asked her, "Mom, why are you crying?" She said, "Son, have you married?" I said, "What are you talking, Mom? I'm married to Molly." She said, "There is a whole lot of newspapers, and there's a gossip here that you married this girl secretly." I said, "No, Mom, I'm not one of them. I will never do a thing without telling you." And I went into my room. Molly was there.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me anything. So I told Molly, I said, "I want Mommy." And she said like this. She said, "I know it's not true." And she was brave enough to ring that girl and say, "Please come home. We'll go to Zero Bridge. There was an ice cream parlor. We'll both walk hands in hand and have ice cream, and walk to Amira Kadal so that people can see. Let them talk afterwards." That was the strength my wife had.
How did your children react to all these rumors?
I think you will have to ask Omar, because he was in the school then. I don't know, unless... I never asked them, believe me. I never asked them.
Good evening.
Just in time. Good evening, Omar. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Come
Nice
and sit
meeting you.
down.
Come and sit down. Thank you very much.
Omar, we were just talking about the rumors about your father. Did you ever get to hear them?
Oh, I heard, I think, almost every one. In fact, I probably heard more rumors about him than he has, about himself. No, the particular one that you were talking about, I read, or somebody read out to me from a newspaper from Jalandhar, the Punjab Kesari, about his being married to Rekha. And my friends were so jealous. I have never had so many self-invited friends than I did that year. Everybody wanted to come home for the summer holidays so they could meet my stepmother. It was a bit overwhelming.
But you'd never met Rekha, had you?
No, I met her once in a function,
Yeah,
many years afterwards, but never before.
First, let me congratulate you on becoming a Member of Parliament last year.
Thank you.
Was this done with your father's advice and blessings?
Blessings, yes. Advice, no. It was definitely a decision that I took first. He wasn't very keen.
Why weren't you?
Because I have seen politics very closely. And you know what my father went through, what I have gone through, how family has suffered. And I just hope he doesn't have to go through that.
That's why you just tried to dissuade him.
Yes.
Didn't succeed.
No, I didn't succeed. It was in his blood.
So what were you doing before you became a Member of Parliament?
I was working with ITC, a couple of their group companies, but essentially I was in sales and marketing.
And you were also doing MBA at the same time.
Well,
I hope you will complete it.
I'm still trying.
Yeah, please. I hope you will.
You never thought of coming into films?
Now that you ask me, no, actually I didn't. I never had that confidence that I actually had something to offer to films. I don't think anybody ever told me I had the looks to become a model, otherwise maybe I would have been one.
So you had a comfortable life in the private sector. What made you join politics, apart from the blood factor? What?
I always felt I was wasting my time in the private sector. I mean, 9 to 7 in the office, come home, and you haven't really done anything. You haven't made a difference to your own life, let alone anybody else's. And I felt if I put the same amount of effort into a career in politics, I could make a difference. And having seen some of the politicians that this country is creating, I thought there was a place for somebody like me. And so here I am.
As a person of the young generation, how do you view what is happening in politics today?
I think it's disappointing. I think by seeing what we do inside Parliament and outside, we're just making it tougher for better people to come into politics. And we need younger people who will come in, step in and take over from the senior generation.
Because politicians today are viewed with acute cynicism.
No, it's our own fault. The reputation that we seem to enjoy is something that we have created for ourselves, which is unfortunate.
Why do you want to be included amongst this group of people?
I want to be a good parliamentarian. Parliament is a place that I think is somewhere where a person can achieve a lot. Unfortunately, parliamentarians are not conducting themselves the way they should. There's so much more that we could do using the good offices of being a member of Parliament. I'd like to be able to do that. More and more members of Parliament are not coming back. Yes. They come to Parliament once and then they don't get re-elected for the simple reason that they arrive in Delhi and then forget who actually sent them there, which is unfortunate.
Nearly all men can stand adversity, but to test a man's character, they say, give him power. How do you see that in today's context with all the people who have power?
Power it's a dangerous thing. Especially the amount of power that politicians are vested with today. And it's not just them. They allow the people around them to abuse the power by association. I'd like to think that it's not going to happen with me, for the simple reason that if I wanted to abuse the power of political office, my father was the Chief Minister. By being his son, I could do so much more, and quietly. All the trappings that go with the position that he had could have been ours for the asking, and they weren't, which has, I'd like to think, made myself and my sisters much better individuals today.
What lessons can he learn from your life?
I think I would say that in life there is a question of give and take. There's nothing fixed. And it's good to have principles. But those trees collapse that do not bend with the wind, are not able to adjust with the wind. I think he'll have to make adjustment with the situation that exists in the nation. Rather than having confrontation, he has to develop a situation whereby his way of working will make them to think that this way is better.
Do you know what you're in for?
Oh yes, I realized what I was in for the day I walked into Parliament and saw what was happening there. No, I very much intend to be able to bend with the wind, but I'm not going to bend in the wind to such an extent that I break. I will bend, but once the wind stops blowing, I'm going to come back straight up again.
And give enough love to your children.
No, that
is something in politics one forgets.
Now that fortunately is a lesson I plan to take very seriously.
I've been wanting to ask you, do you feel that you have that single-minded, be-all, end-all passion for politics?
No, I don't think so. I'm not one of those fellows who thinks that this is the way I have to go and I'll get a gun carriage funeral at the end of the day. No, I'm a person who thinks one day I will give it up and do other things. I would like to see God's world. I'd like to see places where I've never gone before. How they live, how they eat, what is their way of doing things. I would like to do it before it's too late, before I'm riddled with illnesses that I can't leave home.
20 years ago, you had a choice between medicine and politics. Today, what would you have chosen?
Well, I would have chosen both, because medicine taught me about human being. It is not necessarily it's just the illness, it's a political illness also that I can recognize. And secondly, politics gave me the vision that I did not have.
The question that everybody wants to ask you, are you going to eventually take over your father's mantle?
I'm not aspiring to that position. If the people think that by virtue of the amount of work I have put in, and if they feel that I am the sort of person they would like to have to lead them into the next century, then I'm not one to shirk the responsibility. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, yes, come what may, come hell or high water, when he steps down, I'm going to move in, because that's just not going to happen. I will earn the position, and if I don't earn it, I won't take it. That's not the kind of person I am.
You know, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I love your idealism, and I hope that it will reach fruition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming all the way from Kashmir for this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And if you could talk to any producer and they want somebody, an old hag like me, I would love to act.
Thank you for the sponsorship.
Thank you. Thank you very much.